see if we can't get him. There he comes. Clerk will call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy Charles Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Andy H. Wynn, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation today will be delivered by Reverend Gina Stewart from Lake Country Church, Fort Worth. Thank you very much for coming out today. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledge.
Our Father in heaven, how wonderful it is we have a new day. Yesterday is past. What happened yesterday stays in yesterday. What happens today, Lord, can be epic. Father, I'm asking that your presence rest on each one of these anointed people who you have set in place for this great city of Fort Worth. You have put this city in order, and you have put the right people in place to make this city in order. Be with all decisions that are made today, and we praise you and give you glory for tomorrow. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Reverend. Mr. Manius?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have several announcements relating to the agenda this morning. The first, there is a revised court communication under the public hearing section, item 7B. It was posted correctly. We just had a typographical error in the one that we originally put into the books, but we have changed that now to correct that. Also, members of the Court, under purchasing, item 8J9. This is RFP number 2016-126. We're going to remove that from the agenda. Also, Your Honor, members of the Court, we do have two public hearings this morning concerning the tax rates, or proposed tax rates for Tarrant County and also the hospital district. And then finally, members of the Court, at 2:30 this afternoon, there is a Citizens Blue Ribbon Committee meeting, and it will be in 504C. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Court members, you have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of August the 15th.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Fickus, I believe you have.
Yes, could we please today close in memory of former South Lake Mayor Les Clow, who passed away this morning at the age of 99. Les was one of the founders of South Lake. He and a group of group of individuals who moved there in the mid-1950s, and was the third mayor. He passed away this morning. He's former World War II fighter pilot, later became a commercial airline pilot. Anyway, longtime resident of South Lake. So,
Thank you. If y'all please note that, then we'll do that. Hearing no objection. Court members, you have before you the consent agenda.
Move for the approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We have, as Mr. Manius mentioned earlier, we have a couple of public hearings today.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we do have two public hearings. The first, item 7A, this concerns a public hearing regarding the tax rate for tax year 2017 for Tarrant County government. We ask that you do two actions as it relates to this. First, to conduct a public hearing regarding this tax rate, and second, to announce the date, time, and place of the vote of the tax rate, which is as follows. We intend to set the tax rate on September 12th, 2017 at 10 a.m. in the morning in the Tarrant County Administration Building. Be held in this room here. Address is 100 East Weatherford Street in Fort Worth, Texas. The benchmark tax rates for tax year 2017 is as follows. The effective tax rate is 0.23978. The rollback rate is 0.258067. The current rate is 0.254, and the proposed tax rate, which is a decrease from the current tax rate, that proposed rate is 0.244.
At this time, I'll open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone here wishing to discuss or make comments regarding this. Now, I have a audience participation regarding or from a Rick, is it Bircher?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to come forward at this time and make any comments that you'd like? When you come forward, if you wouldn't mind, please repeat your name and your address for the record.
My name is Rick Bircher. Listed on my property taxes to be Richard Bircher. And it's at 418 East Tucker Boulevard in Arlington, Texas.
Okay, now, any comments you'd wish to make, sir?
Well, I got a couple, and I wasn't expecting to be quite this formal, so I didn't bring all this stuff to do it quite this formal. My first thing is, on my property taxes, I had talked to the tax assessor's office, and I've got some problems with what they told me, and I don't see the man here. Oh, here he is. So, I'm sorry, sir, I was looking up there. Anyway, but I talked to him on the phone, so it wouldn't make much difference. I wouldn't know you anyway, except from Arlington. But anyway, I protest some of this because in other states, or in some other states, people over 65 or 70, you don't even have property taxes. They're exempt. And here, I understand there's a freeze or something to that effect, but I don't understand how they work. And I asked people, and everybody says, go to somebody else. When I called, I was told to go to Judge Wallach. I was told to go to the Tarrant County my GOP office. I was told to go to my state representative, Tony Tenderbolt. Tenderbolt tells me to go to Kelly Hancock. Kelly Hancock says go to Tarrant County Commissioners, and you win. And then I was told to go to Ron Wright. And I just don't know who I'm supposed to go talk to about these things. No one else seems to know either. So that's the thing. But the thing is about my taxes, I just didn't understand why I ought to have to. Y'all got a lien against my property for about $2,000. When I asked about it, everybody said, we don't know. Just pay your taxes. Don't worry about it. Well, it's kind of hard for me to pay my taxes on $629 a month Social Security. And I'll bet you none of you in here can live on $629 a month Social Security either. So I don't know how y'all expect me to pay taxes when I can't even pay my bills. So that's one of the things. The other thing is I asked Mr. Wright, I said, well, look, I'm supposed to be getting mineral rights here. And this was several years ago, so you may not remember all this. You talk to 1,000 people a week, so you know. But I asked him, I said, I got mineral rights here. I haven't gotten anything from my mineral rights except one check, and that was for $500 some odd. I said, shouldn't that be taken care of? Because we had signed a contract originally in our area that said we got about $1,000 a month. I haven't seen $1,000 yet. No one in my neighborhood has. And I've talked to several people, even to the people that I just mentioned, their secretaries and all, and some of them said, yeah, we were told the same thing, but we never got it either, so I know it's not just me. But anyway, so I said, can't that apply to my taxes? He said, no, you can't do that because you have to pay your income tax on that. And I said, we don't have a state income tax. And he said, we do now. He said, I said, who voted on this? I don't remember us voting on this. And he said, well, as I remember it, and as I wrote it down at the time, he said, well, me and some of my friends voted for having income tax on this.
Mr. Wright told you that?
Yeah, that's what I understood on the phone. And so
I want that quote.
well, I wrote it down.
Somebody revive him over there.
I wrote it down when he said it, and I'm sure he'll deny it, but still, he said some of my friends, me and my friends voted to have a state income tax on your mineral rights. Well, someone's taking the money. It's not me. So if I owe $2,000 and y'all owe me for several years, won't you apply that to my taxes? So that's my main complaint. My mineral rights and the income tax, I don't know what to do with them. And like I said, I just don't see how y'all would possibly expect me to get by on $629 a month and pay up my taxes. So that's it.
We can respond to this at this point in time, can't we? And I'm sure Mr. Wright's gonna jump up here in a minute if I say something wrong.
He's already jumping up and down when I say something.
Well, I would have suspected that too. A couple of things. The state legislature, we don't do away with property taxes once someone hits 65. You do have the ability through Mr. Wright's office to sign an affidavit saying that you cannot afford to pay your property taxes and they'll be deferred. Now, I want you to hear, I didn't say they would be passed. I said they would be deferred, and that eventually either your heirs would have to pay them, or when the property is sold upon your passing, then that back tax plus interest at whatever the legislature sets that interest to be will have to be collected.
I was told something to that effect, but I've never signed any papers. Matter of fact, I don't even know where his office is.
You've got to fill out the papers and do that. It's not something that we initiate from this standpoint.
Your Honor, if I may speak for a second, Mr. Bircher already has a deferral on his account and has had for some time. But there clearly is a misunderstanding. I'll be happy to sit down with you. Right now. We can go down to my office right now if you'd like.
I think right now you probably got some other pending business, but I'll be glad to talk to you when it's over.
Okay.
So
now I'm happy to sit down.
I'll wait for you.
So just be sure you understand what he's indicating is your taxes have already been deferred, so you're not required to pay them.
But y'all gonna let it over?
It will continue to accumulate along with interest, and he'll explain that to you, I'm sure, when y'all sit down and have a meeting.
Well, once again, I just don't understand how y'all expect some of us poor people to get by with.
That's why that's why the deferral was set in place, so you wouldn't lose your home.
Some states have it completely wiped out.
I'm going to refer you back to Mr. Hancock on that particular deal. The state center, it's the legislature, sir. We don't have the authority to do that. The legislature would have to be the one to do that.
Well, everybody pushes me on my ass and that Mr. Hancock's office, because I did go to his office over in North Richland Hills, and his secretary said that, she had the same problem, said she wasn't making enough to pay her taxes. And so I don't know why.
If she works for Mr. Hancock, I can believe that.
You believe that? Well,
Mr. Bodger.
I don't know who Mr. Hancock is. Is he here?
No.
Okay, I don't know. I didn't know Mr. Wynn.
He's a state senator.
Go ahead.
I'm Commissioner Wynn. And,
yes, I knew that.
If you don't mind, allow us an opportunity to work with Mr. Wright to support your needs. Ms. Mary Gilman sitting back there, Sister Gilman, as I refer to her.
Sister Gilman?
Yes.
Y'all go to the same church?
She's a former nun. she will assist you, and we'll do everything we can to ease your concern.
Okay.
Andy, you
Well,
might
that's
also-
just my main problem.
You
Yes, sir.
might also visit on the subject of the oil and gas, where many people signed leases with gas companies that gave that gas company the right to drill under their property. And those gas companies, for whatever reason, typically because the price got so low, but never drilled those leases. And you got to check one time for the lease, but not for what they call production. And so somebody told everybody that, you're going to get a lease check, and then you're going to get a production check that could be, whatever, $500, $200, $5,000 a month. But that's only if they drilled a well and successfully executed all that.
Right.
And in most cases, that never happened. So no production, no check. Lease is no good anymore.
You understand what he just said, sir?
I do. I'd like to address that if I can.
Sure.
Number one, I was with the group that got together, and they came to my house because I lived in the area longer than most of them had. And I knew some of the people that got together. They got together a group, and we went door to door talking to soliciting to people, trying to get them to sign with the company that was supposed to do it. Chesapeake. And Chesapeake had told us that, and we even started on the contracts that said that we'll be getting at least $1,000 a month. And then second thing is, since then, the rights have been sold to some other companies. Well, I don't understand why another company wants to sign if they're not making any money. If they're not making money, why do you want to spend money to go buy something that's insolvent? So, and that's happened not one time, but 4 or 5 times now. So all these companies say, well, they're not making money, so why don't we buy it and not make money? That just don't make a bit of sense to me.
Gas leases have a duration, 3 years, 5 years normally. My guess is your lease that you signed is probably already ended. There is no lease anymore. That's, I got a drawer full of them, okay, that had expired, and no drilling ever took place.
And everybody else is complaining too.
Well, the price of gas dropped from $14, or however they sell it, down to $2.88 today. So
Okay.
I would encourage you, as Commissioner Wynn has offered, to get with his folks and with Mr. White, and hopefully they can move it along. But it sounds to me like, as it currently stands, you're not having to pay any state, or you're not having to pay any local property tax.
Well, I'm paying something. I don't know what it is. It didn't get to $2,000 on its own, so it must be supposed to
No,
be.
it's accumulating.
Yeah, it's accumulating. I'm not paying because I just don't have the money to pay.
You don't have to.
I have the money to come down here with gas today. Matter of fact, it's sitting dead on empty, so I may fall out in the street before we get away from here. So.
Well, I hope not, sir. Thank you very much for coming out.
Okay, now do I need to wait till after this whole hearing to get together with these gentlemen, or?
we're going to meet you right outside the door.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Burgess.
All right, thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to discuss this matter at this time? There being none appearing, then I will close the public hearing.
There's no action needed on the
Right.
public hearings today. So, members of the court, we can go to the second public hearing, which is 7B. We're requesting that the Commissioners' Court do the following: conduct a public hearing regarding tax year 2017 tax rate for the Tarrant County Hospital District, announce the date, time, and place of the vote of the tax rate, which is as follows. The tax rate vote will be on September 12, 2017 at 10 a.m. in the morning. It'll be held in the Tarrant County Administration Building in the Commissioner's Courtroom. It's located at 100 East Weatherford Street in Fort Worth, Texas. The benchmark tax rates for tax year 2017 are as follows. The effective tax rate is 0.211925. The rollback tax rate is 0.228714. The current tax rate is 0.227897. And the proposed tax rate is 0.227897, which is the same as the current tax rate.
At this time, I'll open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone here wishing to comment or discuss this particular, these particular numbers. There appearing to be none, then I will close the public hearing. Again, no action to be taken at this time.
That's correct, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Manius, I believe you're up next.
Yes, we are going to have four items for the court this morning. The first one concerns the 85th legislative session. Mr. Mendez is here to address the court.
Good morning, Your Honor, members of the court. This morning we're asking the court to receive and file the final report from the regular and first call special sessions of the 85th legislature. The report is a summary of all the bills that are now going to become law, with a brief description of the legislation and the effective date attached. We've broken out all of this legislation by county department, and I will be transmitting a copy of this electronically to all the department heads and elected officials upon the passage of this request. I'd like to give a special shout out to certain members of the delegation that were especially helpful, especially during the special session. Chairman Guerin was part of the leadership team of the Speaker's office, and as a result of that, we dodged a couple of big bullets during this most recent special session. The outlook for an additional session is, I'm not really sure what's going to happen. I think what's dependent what's coming out of the governor's office is that he's pretty much happy with what came out of the special session. The only thing that would change that would be a decision from the U.S. Supreme Court on the redistricting issue, which has been appealed. If that results in a negative impact to the state's drawing of the congressional districts, then they would probably add to the call, redistricting call, property tax issues. And so that's the only eventuality. But with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
I move to receive and file the report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mark.
Members, we could go to item number 2. We're requesting that the Commissioners Court approve the fiscal year 2017, or I'm sorry, fiscal year 2018 budget of the Tarrant County 911 District.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the court, on item number 3 and 4, Ms. McMillan is going to do that.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. The first item I have for you today is a consideration of the nomination of Ventura Foods in Saginaw for a Texas Enterprise Project designation. Ventura Foods, current facility in Saginaw, employs 259 workers and produces a variety of sauces, dressings, oils, and spreads for the food service industry. They recently acquired Cargill's dressing, sauce, and mayonnaise business and must relocate that function to an existing Ventura location. Over the next 2 years, Ventura plans to invest $25 million to construct a new rail siding and a 200,000 square foot expansion to their current plant. This expansion will create 66 new jobs and is expected to increase plant production by 100 million pounds of finished goods per year. The county's nomination will allow Ventura to compete for one of the state's limited enterprise project designations, which will enable them to receive sales and use tax refunds on the state portion of taxes paid for items purchased and used at the Saginaw facility. As a qualified enterprise project, Ventura Foods is committing that they will hire 35% of their new employees from an enterprise designation area or be economically disadvantaged. As you know, Tarrant County is eligible every biennium to receive 9 designations. The new biennium will begin this September 1 and will run through August 31st of 2019. This application will be submitted in first new biennium submittal on September 1, so we will have all 9 of our designations. Currently, under the Act, we now must enter into a interlocal agreement with the municipality in which the facility is located, providing for each entity's approval of a nomination and the designation of who will administer the enterprise project designation, which in this instance will be the county. The City of Saginaw has approved the interlocal agreement approving the project nomination. So today we're asking that you consider approval of a resolution nominating Ventura Foods as a Texas Enterprise Project, authorize the submittal of the enterprise project application, and approve the interlocal agreement with the City of Saginaw for the nomination.
I'll move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Question. This area from which the disadvantaged persons are supposed to come, what is it?
The enterprise zone is an area that has a population unemployment levels that I'll have to check, but it would be certain unemployment levels have to meet an enterprise project designation. But most of the time they're going to look at economically disadvantaged. They have to be below the median income levels. So
those persons, the economically disadvantaged persons, can come from anywhere?
Correct, anywhere. It doesn't have to be within this zone, anywhere, even within this area. But see, this project is not in an enterprise zone. We're just designating it as an enterprise project. Sometimes there are actual zones that are designated, but this is not in an enterprise zone. It just needs to be anywhere within the county or area. They just have to be.
Is it anywhere within the county or is it anywhere?
It's anywhere.
I would prefer anywhere within the county.
Well, and that'll bring up another thing is staff has been working with the City of Saginaw for a tax abatement for this facility expansion, and part of that tax abatement, which we will be bringing to you in the coming month, will include hiring levels for Tarrant County residents.
I'll remind you.
Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
The next item we have is we're asking Commissioners Court to approve the issuance of Series 2017 Hospital Revenue Refunding Bonds and one or more series by the Tarrant County Cultural Education Facilities Finance Corporation for Baylor Scott & White Holdings in an amount not to exceed $225 million. The Board of Directors adopted a resolution in August approving the issuance of the tax-exempt refunding bonds for Baylor Scott & White, the proceeds of which will be used to refund all or a portion of previously issued Tarrant County Cultural Education Facilities Finance Corporation bonds. This will provide a substantial savings to Baylor Scott & White Holdings. A letter from Baylor Scott & White has been providing, addressing their efforts in relation to the Tarrant County hub policy and representing that they are not aware of any restrictions on the facilities located in Tarrant County, Texas. We're asking for your approval.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shoot.
Your Honor, I want to ask the court to reconsider item 8A2. This is the 911 district.
Move to reconsider.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the court, I'm going to ask that we hold this particular item, and let me explain why. Because on the budget report that we received from the 911 district, it said for budget year 2017-2018, and on our agenda, it says for budget year 2017 And so in an abundance of caution, we're going to hold this for 1 week. We'll agendize it a little more appropriately on this and then bring it back for your approval. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do we have to take any further action now?
Sugar, come on forward.
The courts have one item for your consideration. It is requested the Commissioners Court approve interim funding.
Excuse me, this one, I'm sorry, Commissioner Johnson, we voted to reconsider.
That's what I thought.
So I guess the question is, at this point in time,
Let me ask you to make a motion to hold this particular item until next week.
So moved.
Second.
we have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
That's
Thank
a
you,
good
Commissioner
catch.
Johnson.
That's a good catch, so thank you.
One more time. Depending upon what words come out of your mouth, we may find some other way to interrupt you.
I'll be as quick as possible, Your Honor. The criminal court is requesting the Commissioners Court approve an interim funding for the Veterans Treatment Court and the Mental Health Diversion Court for a period not to exceed 90 days. The specialty court programs are presently funded by the Governor's Criminal Justice Division. We are anticipating a $105,000 cut to the Veterans Court program and $48,000 cut to the Mental Health Diversion program. The interim funding that we're requesting will be used to continue the cost of personnel, professional services, and drug testing. Criminal Courts Administration has already made cuts to ensure the anticipated grant funding will match costs during the interim funding period. The existing grant will end on August 31st, 2017.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Phillips?
Morning.
Morning.
It's requested that Commissioners Court approve an interlocal agreement with Fort Worth Transportation Authority for bus service between the Juror parking lot located at the Gray Field and the county court buildings in downtown Fort Worth.
Move.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Ms. Worthy?
Good morning.
Morning.
Our first item is for you to receive and file the personnel agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Receive and file personnel agenda. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our second item is an approval of a waiver of terminal benefits for the Domestic Relations Office. This is for a Child Support Officer 1 financial analyst to be effective August 23rd. The fiscal impact is $2,141.92.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And now for the lengthy one. So I'm here to seek approval for all of our plan changes, our designated service provider selections, and our contribution rates for the funding of our employee and retiree health care benefits for 2018. I have 7 exhibits I'm going to go over, and I'll be requesting approval at the end of each exhibit, and I'm happy to answer questions as we proceed. So both the medical plans, our high deductible plan and our PPO, have changes related to preventative and pharmacy care. Additionally, the PPO medical plan has 1 copay change, and the HSA limits are being increased for the high deductible plan. And as has been the practice in previous years, our executive director of the PEBC, along with Willis Towers Watson Consulting Services, met with county staff and presented the funding requirements, and then our county team met to provide these recommendations to you. So if I'll direct you to Exhibit A, and let me talk about the changes to our preventative services, and this is for both plans. So the first one is a change for certain cholesterol medications with moderate dose statins, and so those will now be at no cost to members who meet specific criteria, and that's outlined in your Exhibit A as to which of those may be impacted. Those are examples, and so those would be reviewed by medical. The second one is that the 3D mammography will now be covered as preventative service at no cost. The third one is fecal DNA testing for colon cancer will now be covered as preventative service at no cost as long as an employee or a member meets certain medical criteria. So do I have any questions on that?
It seems like Christmas morning. I'm skeptical.
Well, you haven't heard the rest of it. No cost. That's right, to the member that's using the service.
So if they're using any of these drugs, then they're not going to be charged anything?
Those are those low-dose statins, and if they meet certain criteria, there's some very, specific criteria that they have to meet along with their other medical conditions, and so there may be some individuals that would get these drugs at no cost.
Give me a for instance.
Well, on Exhibit A, it shows, for example, and I may not say this right, atorvastatin.
Mm-hmm.
If you take a 10 to a 20 milligram one, you might qualify for the program. But if you needed 40 to 80 milligrams, you would not qualify for that because probably you have other conditions that's requiring you to take a higher dosage. And this is encouraging people that maybe have not as serious of an issue or maybe a newer issue that hasn't reached levels to be able to get those medications at no cost to encourage them to use those medications.
Now, being one, I'll just throw HIPAA right out the window here and
If
talk
it's
about it
you, you can
right
talk
up
about
front.
you.
I'm cholesterol, and if I'm not taking anything, it's up around 300, and if I'm taking something, it's down around 180 or somewhere around that. Nothing else at this point in time, knock on wood, is wrong with me, but the dosage on the statins are 40 milligrams.
So at current,
So I better be taking simvastatin or
or one of the
trouble.
or one of the lower dosages, and it talks about in this in the exhibit in the details, meaning that some of that criteria has to do with your health of your cardiovascular disease and what states you might have of that, and so that would be determined by your physician and through United Healthcare.
Okay, I'm skeptical too, Commissioner.
Okay, so on the next.
Do you want us to approve this before?
No, we'll
Not
get
yet.
through all of Exhibit A. So the other changes also to both medical plans are pharmacy changes, and there are 5 of those. So the first one has to do with the implementation of an out-of-pocket protection program, and this has to do with our Credo special pharmacy. This has to do with the coupon services that they offer, and so if you have a coupon and it's credited toward the cost, only that lower amount will apply to your deductible, or would you be able to do reimbursements from the FSA or the HSA after the coupon. So let's just say the drug cost $100, you had a $20 coupon, then the $80 would apply to the deductible, and you could file the $80 against your FSA or HSA. So that's number one. The second one is, so for maintenance medications, in the past, those have had to be you had to ask for those through the mail order, through Express Scripts. And you can now get 90-day prescriptions through select EAN pharmacies, and those copays will match the home delivery costs. So there's some individuals that would prefer to do it that way rather than the mail order.
Yay. Yay.
So if I were to take a 90-day supply of that previously mentioned cholesterol medicine, and I get it from blink.com for about a third of what Express Script is going to do it, and they'll deliver it to one of these, CVS, or I don't see CVS on there, they'll deliver it to Tom Thumb. I know they'll deliver it to Tom Thumb. I can still go to them. I don't have to go to Express Scripts.
If it is one of the select ENA pharmacies, and I don't have that list with me, so I could get with you afterwards and see if that would qualify for that process as opposed to doing Express Scripts.
If they just sent it to my home, why would that be a problem?
I don't anticipate it that it would, but I don't have the details of which pharmacy that, and I'm not familiar with blink.com.
It's actually that's a legitimate thing.
I know you've mentioned that before, so. Okay, so item number 3.
Let me ask a question.
Yes,
back
sir.
to 2. When does all this take effect?
This will be effective January 1st with the new plan year. So our plan year for medical is January to December.
Okay.
Okay. So the new cholesterol care value program, there is a new medication called PCSK9, and it's an inhibitor, and it will now need prior authorization to confirm that this specialty drug is being used appropriately. This is just going to have some pre-authorization and more carefully monitored so that we're sure that it's being used appropriately. It's a rather expensive medication, and so they want to be sure that that's being used appropriately. Number 4, all specialty drugs must be filled through a Credo specialty pharmacy. They previously had allowed a one-time courtesy fill, and that is going to be discontinued. Only those medications that are considered what they call a STAT or an emergency specialty drug will be allowed that courtesy fill. So if it's a medical condition that you need that medicine immediately, you could go to the pharmacy and get it. Otherwise, all other specialty drugs will have to be done through the Credo pharmacy. And then the 5th item under this section is the members will continue to save the $10 when using those Express Advantage networks or the EAN retail pharmacies. If you do not use those, there is a $10 upcharge that does not count toward a deductible or out-of-pocket expense. Okay. So moving to the Ppo Copay Changes, this is for our virtual visits. If you might remember that we added virtual visits where you can see a doctor via a smartphone, a tablet, or a computer for non-emergency conditions. And in 2018, for PPO members, those will be at a $0 copay. And for the high deductible plan members, that will be a $40 per visit charge.
What's the idea behind that?
You mean why is it changing? Well, it's certainly to encourage using the virtual doctors. Are you talking about the difference? Why is it different? Well, the high deductible plan is what we call a first dollar spent. So whoever's participating in that has to incur some expense. They don't under a high deductible plan, there aren't $0 copays on services like there are in some of the PPO plans.
But isn't there on like the wellness exam?
Well, that's part of the law that preventative services are at no charge, but this wouldn't be considered preventative services. This is if you have a cold or some other condition that you might need to see a physician for. So the next item is the high deductible plan HSA contributions. Those will be increased. So for single coverage from $3,400 to $3,450. For family from $6,750 to $6,900, and for those age 55 or older, they can allow a $1,000 catch-up contribution. So those are all of the items on Exhibit A, and I would seek your approval for Exhibit A.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, now we'll move to Exhibit B1. And this is the outline of all the service providers and the fees, and most of those are per employee per month or a insurance premium cost. Those that are highlighted in yellow have changes. So as we go down that list, items 1 through 3 do not have any changes. That's our HMO dental, our PPO dental, and our vision. Number 4 is highlighted in yellow, and that's our changes to our PEBC United Healthcare medical plan. So those are the administrative fees. And all of those administrative fees, with the exception of disease management for asthma, have increased by 3%. So those fees will go from $39.85 to $41.05 per employee per month. Under number 5, there is also a change, and this has to do with the administration fees for the HSA accounts with Optum Bank, and that will change also by 3% from $1.25 to $1.29 per employee per month. Number 6, stop loss, that is actually an increase of 9% from $25.60 to $27.90. For items 7 through 9, there are no changes. That has to do with our Express Scripts and our MHN services. Number 10 is our long-term disability. We did have an increase of 15.5% from 0.200 to 0.169 of payroll. Decrease, I'm sorry, I said an increase. It's a decrease, my apologies. So that is a decrease. And items 11 through 13, again, no changes, and that has to do with our group life, our PayFlex, and our FSA, COBRA, and retiree billing services. Easy for me to say. Number 14 is our retiree medical-based plans, and these are our fully insured programs. And in this case, we're going to ask y'all to, as we get to that sheet and set those rates, there will be two different fees because there is an insurer health fee. And what that basically is a tax, and that is to cover some of the cost for the Affordable Care Act. That fee happened to be waived in 2017. We don't yet know what will happen in 2018, so we're presenting both of those to you. We hope to know that by October, but that would have been a little late for us to bring all of this to you. So we will have two choices for you there. And so that will be the approval of Exhibit B1.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
I think they may get a little simpler from here. So Exhibit B2, this is for our employee and retiree dental plan. This is the Delta dental plan, and these accrual rates will remain the same. So I would ask your approval of B2.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Exhibit C1, this is for our employee medical plans. The top part of this exhibit is our 2017 rates. The bottom part is the 2018 rates. The yellow section in the far left side does indicate the changes from one plan to the next. This is, and it's highlighted in yellow, and this is an increase of approximately 6.4%. But the percentages and the cost share will remain similar to the way they were in 2017. So we will seek your approval for C1.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second, so I want to be sure that I understand. In the bottom section, in those things in the right, in the yellow, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
The first column says if I stay in the high deductible plan, high deductible to high deductible, my monthly premium for employee only is $10 increase, and for employee and family is a $37.
That is, for 31, that is. Oh, for employee and family, yes, sir, 37, down at the bottom.
On the high deductible, if I move from the high deductible to the PPO, my employee share goes up $75 per month, and if it's employee, it goes up $170.
Employee and family, yes, sir.
Right, and then if I go from the PPO to the high deductible, my employee only would go down 57, my employee and family would go down 98.
Yes, sir.
And in addition, I would get the $750
seed money. Yes,
seed
sir.
money from that standpoint. And then if I just stay in the PPO, it's an $8 increase or a $35 increase at max.
Correct.
Okay, any other discussion?
The total census for last year was 3506. Are we expecting the same?
I would anticipate it'll be similar. We haven't had huge fluctuations in adding or eliminating positions, so I don't have an anticipation of any big changes.
Some other same. Okay, thank you.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
C2, this is the pre-65 retiree medical plan. This is our matrix group that is based on years of service. This reflects also a 6.4% increase over 2017. The yellow highlighted area are the rate changes, and be happy to answer questions, or I do seek approval of Exhibit C2.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
So the next two we will look at together. So this goes back to the discussion of the insurer fees. So C31 is with the insurer fees, C32 is without. And you might remember, this is the group that has the 3% soft cap, so the county subsidy is capped by the 3% over the prior year. And so that's, and I'll be happy to answer questions.
Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And finally, Exhibit D, this is the dental and vision rates for employee and retiree, and there are no premium changes.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Run. Mr. Beecham.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have 8 items for consideration this morning. First item is a bid award recommendation for RFP 2017-092, the Tarrant County Self-Insured Workers' Compensation Program, Claims Administration, Cost Consultant, 504 Program Administration, and Medical Case Management. Recommendation would be to award per the terms of the contract, selecting the primary and secondary vendors by section as shown in your court communique. If approved, we're seeking contract approval and acceptance of this surety bond.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 2 is another bid award recommendation for RFQ 2017-140, RFQ for consultant pharmacist in charge for the Public Health Department. Recommendation would be to award to the Evolvers Group with the amount of $20,280.
Move for approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 3 is another bid award recommendation for bid 2017-153, starting a contract for asbestos consulting services. Recommendation would be to award on a per enterprise basis, selecting as our primary vendor the Burrell Group, our secondary vendor ERC Environment and Construction Services.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 4, also a bid award recommendation for bid 2017-154, signing a contract for indoor air quality consulting services. Recommendation would be to award a per enterprise basis, awarding to the primary and secondary vendors as shown in the court communique.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Number 5, another bid award recommendation for bid 2017-155. It's a new annual contract for Category A infectious substance courier services if needed. Recommendation would be to award a per enterprise basis, selecting the successful vendors USA Couriers.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Number 6, a bid award recommendation for bid 2017-158. Submitted for the purchase of a Formax 2054 high-volume pressure sealers for reproduction center. Recommendation would be to award to Square One Business Machines, amount of $29,963.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Number 7, also a bid award recommendation for bid 2017-161. Submit for the Tarrant County Resource Connection Switchboard Replacement Project. Recommendation would be to award to Haynes Humphrey, amount of $78,455.90. Again, approval seeking contract approval, acceptance of the payment bond.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Last item, number 8, item in regards to RFQ 2017-143, request for qualification for professional land surveying services. We are seeking approval to conduct negotiations with the 9 firms as shown in your court communique.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Sheriff. Come on down.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning. We have two items on your agenda. The first one is a partnership agreement with B.R. Johnson High School. Actually, it's a career and tech center in Crowley with Crowley ISD. We're placing an interim program down there where these young people will be coming into our midst. We will be training them, and by the time they graduate high school, they'll be eligible to be licensed jailers, and we can hire from that pool and put them through a modified academy. It saves us money and time, but it also gives this Title I school an ability for employment right out of high school. And this morning, I'm happy to say that Mrs. Tate, our vice principal of the school, is here, and Marcus West, who's the chair of that criminal justice program, is here. But this is an excellent program that we're very excited about in the community at a Title I school in which we can reach out to these young people.
Move approval.
Thank you, sir.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Good job, Sheriff.
Thank you, Sheriff.
You're very welcome. It's a very exciting thing.
One of my school districts.
Well, there you go. Well, we'll invite you to that graduation, sir.
Please.
We also asking for approval of interim funding for the courtesy patrol grant. The funding is going through the process right now and should be finalized within the next 90 days. But this funding, of course, will pay for salaries and fringe benefits until we get the finished funding. And our courtesy patrol has a huge impact on our community, of course, and is often recognized. But we're asking for, I believe, it's $340,000 to interimly fund it.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you all.
That patrol, both of these projects are great. I see the patrol on the road very often, and I know how much folks appreciate you being out there and helping them.
It gets the highest of praises.
Yeah.
I've had the occasion to be the recipient of their tender mercies.
Well, there you go. Honored to serve, sir.
Commissioner Nguyen, I believe you have an interlocal agreement.
Yes, sir. This is an amendment to an existed and already approved interlocal agreement. I move for the approval of item 8 and 1A.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Johnson.
Has this been approved by the DA's office?
Yes, Commissioner, it has.
I move approval of item 8, N, 2, A, and B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Are there any appointments today?
Yes, Your Honor. I move that we appoint Patricia Ward to represent Tarrant County on the Continuum of Care Board, which relates to homeless services in Tarrant County.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. And I need to appoint Chandler Merritt to the Building Line Adjustment Board. He'll be replacing Mr. Stallings.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Court members, you have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items, Mr. Manius?
Your Honor, we do not have any briefing items.
Then I will recess our open meeting to proceed to close to discuss items exempt under Section 551, 1071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code. Having returned from our closed session, there being no business to conduct at this time, we are adjourned. He's here.
Mm-hmm.